godfather of all
That's
this,
right.
because it was in 2004 that you brought marriage equality as mayor of San Francisco that started us down this path. So what's your reaction to what we're seeing with Proposition 8 as well as DOMA?
Well, it's a special moment, certainly. I mean, we're affirming not a Supreme Court decision. We're not affirming a legal brief. We're affirming people's lives, the ability to live their lives out loud, to live in dignity and to fall in love and to be able to say, I do. And Thomas, you know this intimately. It's not just about couples themselves. It's about their loved ones. It's about their brothers and sisters, their aunts and uncles, their kids and their grandkids, whose lives are also affirmed. So this is a special moment, and it's one substantive step on a journey that we all need to take to right the wrongs of those 36 or so other states where we still have discrimination.
So, Lieutenant Governor, when is California going to start issuing marriage licenses once again? Because there is nothing holding it back now.
Yeah, except just some cleanup, some legalese. I imagine within the next 30 days on the outside, hopefully before that. So by the end of July, we should be celebrating people's marriages here in front of San Francisco City Hall, all up and down the state of California. Even in the most conservative parts of our state, will no longer be discriminating based on sexual orientation. So 30 days on the outside.
Mr. Lieutenant Governor, when you look back at your decision to get out, in some ways, sort of ahead of the law, back a few years ago, in starting solemnizing marriages at City Hall in San Francisco, do you think that was the right decision? You're obviously advising caution now, nobody rush ahead and try to do anything today in California, wait till the legal cleanup happens. Is that in recognition of how you feel of looking back on your decision those years ago?
Yeah. I mean, I have maybe, maybe I need to be a more shrewd politician, but, I'm a fan of real leaders like Martin Luther King and like Gandhi and Mandela, and these folks were always about stepping up and stepping in, not just waiting around for things to change. It's interesting. Every time I read on MSNBC The Scroll, it doesn't talk about ex-President Mandela. It talks about leader Nelson Mandela. We remember him for his moral authority, for stepping up and stepping in. Guys like me, you know this because you interview them, come and go. Folks in elected office, formal authority. It's that dialectic by people on the outside that are constantly pushing us to do the right thing. And you've got to take that leap of faith. You've got to lean into that world. You've got to step up and step in. And I'm proud to have been a small part of that. But what we're really celebrating are all the extraordinary people, Harvey Milk's legacy, the extraordinary leadership of Phyllis Lyon and Del Martin, people that have been at this day in and day out, exercising their moral authority to make the world a little bit better place, a softer place where all of us can live our lives out loud.
Real quickly, I want to read this statement that we just got from the White House. We did have the president on the iPhone earlier in the hour, but now we have something more official. I applaud the Supreme Court's decision to strike down the Defense of Marriage Act. This was discrimination enshrined in law. It treated loving, committed gay and lesbian couples as a separate and lesser class of people. The Supreme Court has righted that wrong, and our country is better off for it. We are a people who declared that we are all created equal, and the love we commit to one another must be equal as well. This ruling is a victory for couples who have long fought for equal treatment under the law, for children whose parents' marriages will now be recognized rightly as legitimate, for families that, as long last, will get the respect and protection they deserve, and for friends and supporters who have wanted nothing more than to see their loved ones treated fairly and have worked hard to persuade their nation to change for the better. So we welcome today's decision, and I've directed the Attorney General to work with other members of my cabinet to review all relevant federal statutes to ensure this decision, including its implications for federal benefits and obligations, is implemented swiftly and smoothly. On an issue as sensitive as this, knowing that Americans hold a wide range of views based on deeply held beliefs, maintaining our nation's commitment to religious freedom is also vital. How religious institutions define and consecrate marriage has always been up to those institutions. Nothing about this decision, which applies only to civil marriages, changes any of that. This is a huge announcement, certainly from the President. But, Lieutenant Governor, when we talk about how someone in New York who might be married travels to Alabama, that's not the case in terms of the geography of that state. Is that the next big battle for the country, to be able to have that protective marriage equality across border lines of states?
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, and that's why we have to put this in perspective. The DOMA question will still have to be worked out, and the president will, of course, be in a unique position to exercise some executive leadership. But the broader issue of marriage equality, to your point, has hardly been met. The larger issues of gay rights have hardly been met. We now have a dozen states firmly on the side of equality, but we have 3 dozen that are not. And this wasn't a decision on the merits. It wasn't a decision that was nationwide. It wasn't a decision that was as impactful as, for example, the Loving versus Virginia decision in 1967 that overruled the laws denying interracial marriage in a dozen states. So we're going to have to get another crack. We've got to get back to the Supreme Court, and we've got to continue the fight. And it's just a reminder to everybody, the future's not just in front of you, it's inside of us. We all have to step up and step in. We can't be bystanders on this journey. Final point, Robert, Thomas. The extraordinary leadership of the president is not lost on me. Here's someone in formal authority that exercised his moral authority, and he took a risk, and he leaned in, and I just want to grant his extraordinary leadership as a principle for all people in elected office to advance. It's not about us. Again, we come and go. It's about principles that transcend, and I really applaud the president for recognizing that.
The Lieutenant Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, a.k.a. a fantastic universal life minister. Gavin, thanks so much. I really appreciate you being with us.
I was cheap. I was a good deal for you.
A pair of cufflinks, and it'll get you to the church.